It's all good. I was pissed off at Ray for a long time for even involving me in this situation.
I understand that. You're in a very difficult situation. Go ahead.
So them saying that Ray was this expert, he was playing it by ear. Even when he tried to get Core to do the Statue of Liberty bombing, he was throwing crap against the wall to see what was going to stick. He had only been in the police department for 8 months when Malcolm X was assassinated. He was on a needs and no basis, but he was good at what he did and what he was assigned to do. So that would make people feel like he had more to do with it and was more aware of what was going on, that he was an operative. But he was just another nigga working under them. And when he was disposable, he was disposable.
I have to push back a bit there, Brother Reggie, for reasons I will illustrate. Brother, thank you, Brother Warren. First, let me say this. When I read Ray's account, I think of Gene Roberts' account. One reason why I was and am so thankful of what you brought forward regarding undercover bossy operative Ray Wood is because it shines light on the actions of undercover bossy operative Gene Roberts. Now, Gene Roberts told a story throughout the years that he was giving Malcolm mouth-to-mouth resuscitate. Now, Gene Roberts and Ray Wood were colleagues. They with McKinley Welch were the three bossy undercover officers that the bossy chief acknowledged having in the Audubon on that day. Officer Gene Roberts, Officer McKinley Welch. Gene Roberts has a cover story and has been telling the cover story all these years. His cover story is that he was giving Malcolm mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
You shouldn't give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation.
But hold on. Before we get there, because that detail loses its thunder without the bigger picture. He claims that, why does he claim to be given a man that he was sent into the organization to target? He says he was given Malcolm mouth-to-mouth resuscitation to try to save his life because he had grown to like Malcolm X.
Okay.
And he wanted to save Malcolm X. Now we know for a fact that this is a lie. This is a cover story. As you were hinting at, we know that the action that he was performing, giving Malcolm mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, was in fact hastening Malcolm's death. Gene Roberts was a Navy medical man. He knew that giving mouth-to-mouth to a victim with open chest wounds caused an air embolism that hastened death. Gene Roberts knew that he was causing a air embolism when he performed that contraindicated activity on Malcolm X. So he was carrying out his duty to target Malcolm and help with the assassination. And this is why Gene Roberts was promoted as a result of his activity at the Audubon. He wasn't reprimanded because he was trying to save a man that his bosses hated. This is part of the cover story that Gene Roberts tells. In fact, because he did what he was supposed to do, help kill Malcolm, Gene Roberts was promoted. Now, Gene Roberts' colleague, Ray Wood, I suspect, Brother Reggie, he has a cover story too.
Very possible.
And his cover story would sound, in essence, while the details are different, it would have the same effect that Gene Roberts' cover story is. That is, minimize his actual role in the events on that day and sanitize what he knew in terms of what was going to go down. I put this picture up because something strikes me. In the confession letter, well, first, before I get there, what say you about what I just said?
I believe that anything is possible. I can't speak for Ray on that. I really can't, brother. I can go by what he's told me and the information that he's given me and what he's written in that confession letter. Like I said, I'm not a scholar. I did not, other than corroborating the information that he gave, I have not taken a deep dive like you have into, Gene Roberts and his perspective until, I was talking to some people about and it may have been you, about the mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And I am aware that if you have bullet holes in your chest, you should not give mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. That's 101.
That's 101.
And so I am aware of that. However, going by what Ray has told me and his emotion when he's telling, Ray was a good liar. So it could be true. You're right. It could be true. But I'm not hitching my wagon to, oh, well, Ray said it, so it's the truth. That's not where I'm at.
Right.
Where I'm at is, this is the information that I was given. This is what I'm bringing forward. I have no reason to lie about it. I have no reason to misrepresent it. This is what it is. And if there was an ulterior motive that Ray had in that letter, and it was a limited hangout on his part, very possible. I don't dismiss it because of the other things that I know that Ray was into after the assassination of Malcolm X.
So may I share with you some things that...
Sure.
Now, so I want to be real clear, and you made the point excellently, and it must be continuously reiterated. Reggie Wood has nothing to do with this, what his cousin did. You have the unfortunate circumstance of having been given something by your dying cousin attached to a request of you, but it's a request that really puts you in a difficult predicament.
That's correct.
I'm so thankful personally to Allah that you were willing to share what your cousin gave you. We, the Black community, need what he gave you. And if you did not have the courage and the love for your dying cousin enough to honor his request, then there's critical information that we need that we would not have had. So I have nothing but appreciation for you. Now, of course, we on this side, we have to weigh what your cousin gave you.
Of course.
Our vetting it, our weighing it, says nothing about you. You, of course, are providing a tremendous service to the family of Malcolm X, to the Muslim community broadly defined, to the Black community broadly defined. You are doing a great service to us. So none of my questions, none of our questions, none of our pushback is a pushback against you. It's a pushback.
And I'm not taking it that way.
Right.
I'm not taking it that way. Don't feel that I'm taking it that way. Okay. My perspective on it is I'm putting it out there into the universe, and the chips are gonna fall where they fall.
That is correct.
The information that I'm bringing forward, I risked my life to do this because the more I found out, the more that I knew that I knew that it was dangerous for me to even do this because everybody could blame me. And I say all the time, don't shoot the messenger, because it could have ended up in a shredder and I could continue on with my life like nothing happened. But I felt it was important that the world know what this man had to say, whether it ended up being important or not important. I felt that that it had to be told, and let the chips fall where they may, and the consequences be the consequences. And, a lot of my family disagreed with what I should do. However, I just felt it was the right thing to do. And people coming after me and causing me to go through the things that I'm going through, it's not fair to me.
You're right.
It's not fair to me. I mean, when I travel and I go places, I have to have security. There's a lot of things came with this. A lot of expenses came with just dealing with this, being in a place that's secure and is safe. So bringing this forward was important. But you know what really got me? I don't ask for anything or much, but when those men were exonerated, no one even said thank you. No one said thank you for adding fuel to the fire and to the efforts to get those men exonerated. Because
I say it now. Thank you, brother. Reggie.
6 months after the press conference, those men were exonerated. The DA knew that Ray knew more than they wanted people to know. These men received settlements. Nobody offered to even say, hey, let me get you a cup of coffee. I don't even drink coffee, but it's the gesture of saying thank you for risking your life so that you can be exonerated and your family can be redeemed. The Shabazz family, you just read a document that came from them that's saying that even though he confessed, and they're using that information.
No. What I read wasn't from the Shabazz family. No,
it's from the estate.
No. It's from the Malcolm X Commemorative Committee in New York. That's different. I don't know that
the information that I brought forward
has anything to do with this. Okay. This is Zayed Muhammad.
The information that I brought forward, is being used in a lawsuit, $100 million lawsuit against the CIA, the FBI, the NYPD, and the Department of Justice. No one has reached out to say, thanks for bringing that forward. I don't ask for anything. I did what my cousin asked me to do, but don't act like I didn't risk my life to bring this forward. The Nation of Islam is exonerated based on this new information. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as the conversations I've had with Ray Wood, the Nation of Islam did not plan the assassination of Malcolm X. His bosses planned that.
I thank you, Brother Reggie, for what you're doing and the impact is felt, and it is not insignificant. So may Allah protect you, bless you with a successful and fruitful, productive conclusion to this journey that you were thrust upon. If you allow me to share with you reasons why I strongly suspect that what Ray shared with you qualifies as a limited hangout. That Ray likely did precisely what Gene Roberts did, is give some of the story, but not all of it. For example, I believe the evidence suggests that Gene Roberts, the story is Gene Roberts hit the fleeing Talmadge Hare with a chair, made him stumble, and that's why the group was able to grab Talmadge Hare. But there's evidence that Gene Roberts didn't hit Talmadge Hare with a chair. That in fact, Gene Roberts used his .357 that he had on him and shot Talmadge Hare rather than Reuben Francis. But his shooting, whether Gene Roberts and Reuben Francis were doing the shooting, because at least two of Malcolm's men were shooting at the fleeing assassins. There is significant evidence that Gene Roberts was one of the shooters. Yet, in the public cover story, he says he just threw a chair. So I do suspect that Ray Wood's confession does have is a cover. Guilty by omission, not necessarily by commission. I don't have evidence that your cousin necessarily lied to you, but I believe there's reason to believe that he left out his actual role. This is what catches me. So just follow me, and you can jump in at any point. There's three pieces I would like to share, and I'm hoping that some of these would jog. Well, that relates to something Ray said to me, a detail that he said that you may not have understood necessarily the significance of at the time, but maybe one of these pieces will jog your memory and say, that may be what that was related to. I put this picture up because there's a statement in his confession that is very interesting to me. When he says, Thomas Johnson was later arrested and wrongfully convicted to protect my cover and the secrets of the FBI and NYPD. Your cousin does look like Thomas Johnson.
Yes, he does.
He absolutely does. The trouble I'm having, Thomas Johnson was railroaded as a shooter. Thomas Johnson was framed to take the fall for a shooter in the assassination. If Ray Wood was selected by his bosses to be the cover for Thomas Johnson, or I'm sorry, if Thomas Johnson was selected to be the cover for Ray Wood, that suggested Ray Wood wasn't just an observer, because Thomas Johnson wasn't framed to cover for an observer. He was framed to cover for a shooter. And so I have a difficulty accepting that Ray Wood, a spitting image, that Thomas Johnson, a spitting image of Ray Wood, that so much effort would be put in to frame him in order to cover for a simple observer at the Audubon. Did you want to say anything to that or offer anything?
That makes a lot of sense, brother. It makes a lot of sense. Like I said, I don't know everything.
Oh, I know that.
I don't know everything. And the things that you're saying make a lot of sense. That is possible because Ray was very adamant about getting Thomas Johnson exonerated. Very, very adamant. And it's in the letter, in his confession letter. And Thomas Johnson was exonerated 6 months later. So the DA's office and the FBI and the NYPD know that Ray knew more than he knew.
Yes, sir.
And when they talked to me, I told them that I'm going to put it out there, everything that I know. So let the chips fall where they're may.
Yes, we do.
And your point about Ray and Thomas Johnson is a very good point. I'm almost in agreement with you.
Yes, sir.
Because why was Thomas Johnson arrested? And that was one of the questions, and he always avoided that. So why did they pick him? And he said that they were trying to cover him because the people grabbed him as if he was part of the shooter team or whatever the case is. And when the police came and rescued him, they took him up to the precinct. He said that people recognized him. He made eye contact with people that recognized him. And was that Yuri Kochiyama? Was that Mr. Hassan? People recognized him in the ballroom, and he felt like they would be trying to pin some of this stuff on him. That's why he stayed in the police department. He worked and did what they told him to do for 20 years before he retired. So possible. I can't answer that. And you've known me for a couple of years now. And you know that if it's something that I do not know,
that is correct. I don't expect you necessarily to have any answers to this. I'm not going
to pull something new out of my jacket and be like,
no, I want to present it for all of our consideration because I have not come to a conclusion in terms of what I think Ray Wood's role was. I have not come to a conclusion.
And that is your right to do that and to go deep and to present. That's why I came on your platform. And if you notice, I haven't been on a lot of people's platforms.
And I'm so honored. I take that as a tremendous sign of respect. I'm honored and humbled.
Because I feel like the Nation of Islam is deserved an apology.
Say that again?
I feel and believe that the Nation of Islam and Minister Louis Farrakhan and your whole organization deserves an apology.
Well,
because of what I know and what Ray told me. And I'm working I'm working on a screenplay that nobody wants to touch because it tells the truth in the facts. It rewrites all of the media and the narratives that has been out there for 50 years.
I can't wait to see that on the screen. I know.
And it's going to come because there'll be someone that is bold enough to get behind it. There's someone that's bold enough to put some money. I've been investing my own money into this. And it's important to me after living with this for 9 years. I know that people have lived with it for 57, 60, for 60 years, but I've only lived with it for 9 years. But I've had the burden of having direct contact with it, a direct influx of information and emotions and all of these things. And yes, it's a possibility that he could have had more of a role, but he felt enough guilt and remorse to make sure that he didn't take it to his grave. So not just as a family member, but someone that has dealt with him and watched him in his later years here in Florida, living with us, watched him be the humanitarian and try to make up for, because I believe he thought he was dying soon. But the man that I met in 2011, if he didn't tell me and we didn't corroborate everything, I wouldn't have believed it.
Let me, Brother Warren, will you put that back up? I'm hoping, because you have, over the course of the time I've been privileged to speak to you, in the course of conversation, you will say something that when it hit my ears, it's big. But it's clear that when you said it, you didn't necessarily,
because you
were dropping a huge jewel.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm just going by what the conversations are.
Yeah. That's why I'm presenting this, because I'm hoping that some of this might jar your memory about some details. So I put this is the last piece. There's one other slide, but the last piece I want to offer for your consideration as I'm processing it to come to my own conclusion in terms of what I think is plausible or probable. I know it's plausible, but probable regarding Ray Wood's actual participation. This is the map. All right. What's important is that, we see the Audubon Ballroom, and the main entrance of the Audubon is there on 166th Street, where the top red line is.
That's correct.
Now, there's a lot of talk about the second suspect that was caught. And Yuri Kochiyama and others identify Ray Wood as the second suspect that was caught. Well, I've been able to show that Ray Wood was the other second suspect, meaning there was 2 second suspects caught. And I'm laying this base because it's important. On 166th Street, you see 166th Street there, and then 165th Street. where the second red arrow is. It is the exit based on my reading of what Ray Wood shared with you. When the shooting began, he was in the front row. And let me switch to the second image, Brother Warren. I'm getting to it right now. Ray Wood was in the first row when the shooting started. He jumps up and he flees out the exit to the right of the stage. Is that correct?
Correct.
So that means that he exited out of the exit leading to 165th Street. That's at the opposite side of the 166th Street exit. Very important. Very important. The shooter team, the four of them, after shooting, fled to the back and exited out the 166th Street exit. Two of those assassins were caught outside the 166th Street exit. Thomas Hare is one, and then there was another one. That's the second suspect. Ray Wood, when he fled out of the 165th Street exit, it was lightly patrolman Thomas Hoy who caught him and put him in a car outside the 165th Street exit. Why this is important? So now I offer the final image. This God is in the details. Now that's why this image is important. The fact that Ray Wood was Officer Ray Wood. While he's running, he's being beat up by followers.
Correct.
They think he was involved in the assassination. Well, what made them think that? While he's getting beat, he's rescued by the angry mob from patrolman Thomas Hoy. Thomas Hoy and Officer Ray Wood exit out of the exit by the stage leading to the 165th Street, leading to the 165th Street. What's critical about that? This man right here, hovering over Malcolm X's body with that black coat on. Langston 2X Savage, also known as Anas Lukman. Anas Lukman is a CIA asset, CIA and likely Office of Naval Intelligence asset. He is one of the Judas team, a 5-man Judas team. I identified 2 kill teams that were operative on the ground at the Audubon Ballroom. Kill Team 1 is the Judas team. Those lieutenants of Malcolm X who set Malcolm X up to be killed. They are the ones responsible for his security stripping. They are the ones who gave the no guns, no search instruction. Malcolm never did. One of the key members of the Judas team is Anas Lukman. Now, he had a very significant duty on that day at the Audubon. And he reveals it in his testimony to the assistant district attorney. He says that when he arrived at the Audubon at around 1 o'clock, he helped put some chairs down, but then around 2 o'clock, he arrived at 1, helped put chairs down. At 2 o'clock, which is 1 hour before go time, 3 o'clock was a designated go time for the hit. At 2 o'clock, this CIA operative, Anas Lukman, says he got up at 2 o'clock and did something very strange that scholars couldn't make sense of. Manny Marable couldn't make sense of it. But with what you shared from your cousin, we can make sense of it. Anas Lukman says that at 2 o'clock, an hour before go time, he got up and went to the door of the exit by the stage. He made sure that it was unlocked. It was supposed to be locked. The lock was through the hasp. It was a bolt lock. The lock was through the hasp, but it wasn't connected. And he made sure that it wasn't connected. He says that when he went to that door to check and he made sure that it was unlocked, he went back to his seat. Didn't tell nobody, but his job was to make sure that door was unlocked. No one, before what you shared from Ray Wood, no one can make sense of that detail. Why did he do that? But now we know that that's the very door that Ray Wood made his escape out of. And so that says to me, there was prior knowledge. Ray knew to go out that door. Patrolman Hoy knew to go out that door, the very door the CIA operative, Anas Lukman, made sure was unlocked. So that says to me that Ray Wood, like Gene Roberts, they were involved at levels much more significant than they both confessed to. But we would not be able to say that. We would not be able to make sense of these details if you, Brother Reggie, wasn't burdened with this information, but the burden to you is a blessing to us who's trying to put the pieces together of the assassination. It's a burden to you, but what you are burdened with helps us so tremendously put pieces on the puzzle. So I'm going to leave the last words for you to share whatever you want to share. And then
I thought we were going to show
we're going
to show Hassan's
yeah.